Good afternoon and good morrow to thee, my loyal subjects. My name is MiAh the King, and today we're taking a look at a game that just came out on Steam called Highfleet, developed by Konstantin Koshutin and published by Microprose Software. This game is described on Steam as follows: battle for survival in the skies of a mysterious future Earth in this unique action strategy game mixing arcade combat, exploration, management, and diplomacy. As giant flying ships wage spectacular aerial warfare, a prophecy tells of one who will save the world. Could it be you? So, what is this game exactly? That's probably what a lot of you out there are wondering. Well, so was I. It looked really cool. A whole new take on strategy flight simulator warlike games, am I right? And I gotta say, the game surprised me, but in a good way. But in all things, there isn't all sunshines and rainbows. There were some storm clouds along the way, and I'll leave the final call to you, my loyal subjects, on whether this game is worth your time or not. So, without further ado, let's get into this. The first thing I'm going to start with is the list of the positives. So, for number one, the game has a very interesting idea just overall. Being a commander of a fleet in a fantasy future of Earth where everything is different kind of thing, the idea is just overall pretty cool, and they don't just call you a commander and then just make you do nothing but fight all the time. No, the idea is that you are a commander, so you must act like one, right? You tell your ship where to go, you talk to the locals, you manage the resources and money, you order your ships in battle, and the list goes on of all the different things you have to do as the commander of this miniature fleet you're controlling. So the idea of this whole game is just freaking amazing and unique, and I want to give it props for how original it is. Number two, the game's design and overall gameplay is also just as unique and innovative as the idea. This is what I like to see in games that are coming out. New ideas, new stuff, a new way of playing games, or just looking at a certain subject, and I feel like this game did an amazing job in its unique and innovative gameplay style. It's got dialogue, choose your own dialogue stuff, make your own decisions, choose where you go on the big map, explore, take a look at, research. There's the battles themselves, there's the repairing and the customizing of ships. The list goes on of all the things you can do here in this game, and that is why I think that the gameplay overall is unique and innovative. It's not just the idea, it's all that stuff too. Number three, the look and feel. Now, while it doesn't have the greatest graphics ever, as you can clearly see here in the video, it does have a sort of style with the graphics that fit the themes spectacularly. The graphics are grainy, they're rough and dirty, and they mold perfectly well together to form this gritty, futuristic, but war-ridden future. It just fits very well, it feels very well, and you can even see raindrops on the glass as if you yourself are looking out of the ship while controlling everything. You can see the dust particles collecting in the corners of the windows. The level of detail here, the attention to detail here is just incredible. Number four, the sound effects and the music. I don't have a lot to say here because they were all really good. The music was kind of hit or miss, didn't really strike me as all that unique or stand out-ish. I don't even remember anything about it. But the sound effects for the ships, the battles, and everything else were just really on point. And once again, we're talking attention to detail here of the little stuff that really just come together to create this kind of feel that you're going to have for the overall gameplay that you're experiencing. So that's all I got for the positives, and now we're going to go on to the negatives. But before we get too deep into those, I'd like to humbly request for every viewer out there that if you find my video entertaining or at least informative, I would greatly appreciate any support you can give to my channel. A like, a subscription, or a comment are all really greatly appreciated, and every little bit really does help a lot. So please consider helping me out and helping out my channel. Thank you. Now then, on to the negatives. The first negative is that there is no real tutorial. Now, it kind of feels like they were trying to put one in here, kind of. There are tips and little tricks that kind of tell you what to do and kind of tell you how to play, and it's interspersed with the story and gameplay of the game to make it feel immersive. However, it fails. I've rarely seen tutorials that immerse themselves into the story and gameplay fail, but it does so here. Mostly because the developers were more concerned with the game and the gameplay than they were with teaching people how to play it. You see, to the developers, it seems simple and easy because, well, they created it. But from an outside perspective of a brand new player coming into the game, I was lost immediately. And after playing it for over an hour, I still only know what a few commands are, what a few buttons do. And I'm still basically lost because the game's tutorial, or lack thereof, has failed to help me feel comfortable with all this messiness that you're all seeing in front of you right now. And alongside all that, they never seem to really come up with one in some circumstances. There's a diplomacy minigame where you're trying to convince somebody to join your empire or something, but nothing is explained to you, the player, on how to go about this. I mean, obviously I'm going to fail this persuasion thing when I have no idea how any of this stuff works or how to approach any of this stuff. Number 2, the combat. While the idea is really cool, there clearly needs to be some work here. Or maybe the game just didn't teach me well enough, maybe I'm missing something. I honestly don't know, but I'm going to assume it's the gameplay that is messed up because otherwise, either way, they failed to teach me or the game's messed up. Either way, they made a mistake. They give you nigh impossible odds to go up against. Stronger ships than yours, better weapons, or better missiles than yours, or they just straight up outnumber you 3-1, and somehow you are supposed to fight them off and win. But the controls are wonky and make piloting your ship really difficult and sluggish, and the aiming system is off with both guns and missiles. I mean, the game told me, in one of its tiny little tutorial pop-up bubbles, it said launch multiple missiles at the same time, which is the smartest way to hit your enemies, but whenever I do that, they almost never connect with the enemy, so it makes no sense. Overall, the combat was just a bit awkward and needlessly complicated and difficult to manage. Not difficult to figure out, just difficult to manage. And it was making the whole thing kind of sour to me. It's basically just a super steep learning curve. Number 3, the game's price. Now this isn't a big one, and I'm not naive enough to think that this should be a cheap game. Clearly a lot of time and development went into this. But with absolute zero voice acting, why is the price so large? I don't see anything here that's taking graphics or sound to the next level either, so why is the game so pricey? I don't understand that bit. I just think that $30 might be pushing it a bit much. Now, I'm not 100% on that since I haven't played it all the way through, but to me that seems like a lot to ask for a game like this where its style is something that not many people are going to be very used to and some people won't even be able to learn. This is more of a minor point like I said earlier, but still, that kind of price tag with this kind of quirky, unique gameplay is, well, it's making me consider a refund. That alone, and, that needs to be taken into consideration. So that's all I got for the negatives. So my final thoughts, honestly, it's a bit tricky. There are some obvious things about this game that I greatly dislike. Like, I dislike the sheer steep learning curve. I dislike the lack of tutorial or the lack of info pop-up bubbles. And the combat isn't exactly my favorite thing either. But even with those problems, I still find myself oddly attracted to this game. Its unique idea, its unique style, its immersive level of gameplay, its in-depth nature of how you are a commander from dialogue choices to customizations of your fleet, and the list goes on. I don't know if there is ground combat, probably not, but if there was just a tiny bit of that, it'd be even cooler. And I hope that maybe the combat in the air could get a little bit of a tweak. But other than that, and those negatives earlier, it's really hard for me to find anything really negative to talk about here. That whole no tutorial or help learning the game thing is a biggie for me though, so keep in mind that once you start getting into this game, it is not going to help you almost at all, so be prepared for that. But honestly, from my limited time playing it, I think this game is really cool and unique. Hell, the very first thought I had while playing this is, wow, that's kind of cool. Which is a good sign. So honestly, I mean, if you've liked what you've seen and heard here, then be my guest and give the game a solid try. If not, well, in the first hour, you're going to know what the gameplay is going to be like for the rest of the time you're playing it. So within that hour, you'll be able to figure out if you want a refund or not. As for me, I think I'm going to keep it and give it another try. Maybe learn how to play it a little bit more. Maybe try to actually get into it. Because honestly, it looks like an in-depth, immersive game in a style I've yet to see with a really cool just idea behind it. And where I look around and see if there's anything I'd like to add, the only thing I can think of is a bit of ground combat. But that might even come later in the game. I have no idea, so it could be that it's got nothing that it's going to have everything I want, basically is what I'm trying to say. The point is, I think the game is worth checking out at the very least. Everyone should go give this game a look-see. Yeah, it's a bit pricey, but if this game lasts more than 6 hours, then it's definitely worth its price. So that's pretty much all I've got to say. Thank you all so much for stopping by and checking out my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video or at least found it informative. And if you have any questions or concerns or you want to just say something, then please leave me a comment down below. I try to respond to every single comment I can. So thank you all again so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.